Jesus is, as we affirm in the Christian tradition, that Jesus is both human and divine at the same time. I think it's very important that we get that understanding, and that if holiness is livable at all, then Jesus ought to be the one who embodies what holiness is. And the book of Hebrews, in my opinion, really brings that paradox in a very important way, that we can see that Jesus is truly divine and yet at the same time human, and that he in a way identifies with us, and he experiences what we experience, and enables us to not only access holiness but to actually be able to be holy. And I think that's very important. And his kind of holiness, in a way, because he suffers, it's the kind of holiness that is not aloof from the suffering of the world, but it's a holiness that engages the world, which is very important. The other thing that we talk about in this chapter is the fact that Jesus is a perfect priest who is also a perfect sacrifice. And in many ways, when we look at the priests of the Old Testament and how they functioned, Jesus, in a way, represents the best of the priestly tradition. But he is not just like any other priest. He is also the sacrifice that the priest offers. So whereas the Old Testament priest would offer a lamb, he offers himself. And so I think that's says something about the kind of holiness that Jesus brings to us, because he, in a way, he sacrifices himself, and we learn something there about what kind of how we are to live, and how sacrifice is so important. We certainly don't sacrifice ourselves in terms of making another sacrifice, but we live our lives sacrificially for others. I think that's very, very important. So in Jesus we encounter holiness, and that holiness is holiness that can be lived in human form, not a holiness that has nothing to do with humanity. And I think Jesus represents the best of humanity. So to be human is not to err, as sometimes people say that, I'm just human. But Jesus is fully human. And when we look at Jesus, we see one who is fully human, and we should be like him. And that's what holiness is about.